We're a transitional development assistance project. We also have a GG marker of 2, which means that we're also looking deeply into gender transformative approaches in the design of our project. The blue zone is where we work. It's in north central Nigeria, so Kaduna, Plateau, and Taraba States. We have 2 fields of action: peace building and conflict transformation, and then food security and livelihoods. So in Plateau, we work with the Plateau States Building Agency. With Taraba, we work with the Taraba Bureau for Peace and Conflict Management. And with Kaduna, the peace agency was just disbanded. We're waiting and working with the state government to try and see how that can be resolved. So with the peace building and conflict transformation, we try to have an approach where with the government agency, we build capacities of government staff, and then they set up peace structures in the various states that, various local governments where we work. So we have the peace building agency capacity building for the staff in terms of strategy, in terms of support to carry out their mandates, yeah? And then they now set up peace structures called community peace architecture forums in the various local governments in Plateau State, and then also have peace desks. Those desks serve as early warning systems within the local governments in the state. So we work with traditional leaders to create awareness and come up with strategies how mediation can be used as a tool towards conflict resolution and the building of peace, as opposed to people picking up arms. And for now, it's working. We still have bits and pockets of violence, but yeah, it's a work in progress. And we are hoping that before the project ends, we'll be able to see some of the tangible results of the work that we do. The Plateau Peace Building Agency also works with youth. So we supported a youth camp last year during the Youth Week, and we brought youth from the 17 local government areas of Plateau State, about 300 of them, to a camp, Leadership Training Institute in Jos, Sherry Hills, where they were trained in terms of peace, conflict, topics, how to broker peace, how to mediate, how to come to agreements with their within their communities. And the experience was generally very good. At the end of the peace camp, the youth from the various communities came up with action plans that the Plateau Peace Building Agency will support them to implement within their communities. They are supposed to act as peace ambassadors now, based on the learnings that they've had, to speak to youth in their community on better modes of venting out their anger or their aggression, better uses of their energies, and all of that. These are children whose lives were transformed during the crisis. Children in Riom, Bachi, and Miango in Bassa LGA participated in this thing. I think we had about 200 children whose lives were changed using this mental play therapy, because they were kids whose families were killed in front of them. Their lives were destroyed in front of them. And for some, they couldn't walk a distance alone. Some wake up in the middle of the night screaming because of the trauma that they've been through. What else do we do in terms of peace building? Okay, we're also going to start a project on youth de-radicalization. So the idea, not de-radicalization, youth radicalization prevention. The idea is to catch the youth, because sometimes when youth are not engaged, they're not really aware, then they become tools for conflict. So we are going to use the sports for development approach. The design is still ongoing. We're having conversations with FMB in that regard. But the idea is for coaches and all that within the communities to be trained to not just impact sporting knowledge, but other forms of knowledge to the youth, so that we use sport, first of all, for social cohesion and also as an agent for change. Because if these youth are not engaged positively, the likelihood is that they'll be attracted to the negative engagements that could possibly happen. And everything we do has a gender dimension. So we work with women, youth, children, the marginalized groups, persons with disabilities, and all of that?
So in livelihood part of we have reached about 24,000 people in different aspects of the trainings. 10,000 on tailoring, soap making, auto mechanics, welding, etc. Like in the specific service that we provided, the trainings we provided to them. Then about 12,000 benefited from training on hygiene, that's wash. Yeah, we did hygiene of thing where the communities were sensitized on on hygiene practices. And also we did land rights, legal assistance, because most of these things that we have observed that sometimes, cause this farmer had a conflict, that is this land of a thing, competing over natural resources. So they were thought on how to, how they can register their land, have all documented, papers that are needed for you to own a, to own a land.
So all those things have been thought out. It's not like we're just bringing a dimension from Germany to just impose on the people. But another thing about the sustainability is when you think about like the sand dams, we realized, for instance, we made a mistake thinking we could use boreholes for irrigation. And then now we've realized it makes better sense to use nature-based solutions. The infrastructure for water harvesting does not exist. So starting that out would be very capital intensive. So to still be able to provide water for irrigation and household use, the thought of having sand dams came up. So currently we've built 2 sand dams, one in Bassa, LGA, and the other in Riom. And the hope is, it was just constructed recently. So we want to see how well it works during the course of this rainy season. It's currently the peak of the rainy season in Nigeria now. So we'd like to see how well that works and think of mitigation strategies if it doesn't, since we still have time within the project. Also, like my colleague said, because most of the conflict is on resources, land, and also on climate change. So capacities have been built. People now understand what it means to own and register their land. People have now been enlightened when you want to rent land, how to go about identifying the true owners of the land, as opposed to just renting and then realizing, okay, you paid money to the wrong person, and all those processes. So awareness has been created on how to go about gaining employment, whether as an entrepreneur or whether as a worker for somebody. So capacities have been built in that regard. And then we've also done a lot in terms of statutory regulations. So we've supported people to be registered as nationals of the country, getting their national identification numbers, which is something that we partnered with a federal government agency to achieve. We also look in terms of environmental sustainability. Like we mentioned, the crisis is due to the scarcity of natural resources, which is brought about by the climate change. Now urbanization is happening. Farmers are encroaching on transhumance routes and the like. So we also have a project that is supporting with waste management, recycling, waste aggregation, sorting, recycling, and proper disposal of those that cannot be recycled. That project is also going to help train community members on how to use household waste for compost, because the prices of fertilizer keep on rising each year. So teaching people how to go back to some of the things that we had and we felt were not good enough, and we started using inorganic. So we're going to start taking people back. Yesterday we went on a field trip to Kasisi Agricultural Training Center, and we saw the use of natural resources, the things around us that we don't countenance, how a farm is 100% organic, 100% self-sustaining, employing almost 100 people. And it's knowledge that we would like to take back in our interventions, So we could say that this is what we learned from the SNRD and bring it back to our communities. We've also been pondering how to carry out an activity with our project, something about anaerobic fermentation using solar. And yesterday we saw that whole anaerobic thing for liquid fertilizer. So that's another benefit of us coming for this conference. We can now take that back and put it into practice and see how we can build the livelihoods and resilience of our beneficiaries selling liquid organic fertilizer that is made with the things that exist around their communities. So as a final word for me, I would like to bring up something that one of the keynote speakers, Kawala, said. I feel that in development cooperation, it's a bilateral agreement between two governments, but I feel that for it to succeed, the national government, Nigerian government, needs to play an active role. We cannot mitigate the absence of government. Bad roads, we use 4x4s. No water, we drill boreholes. Insecurity, we fly. Government needs to be held accountable to put in place the relevant structures, infrastructure, social amenities that helps with the development of our communities.